Show us how to make amazing polka dot fashion that happens to be really in style right now is our very own fashionista, Miss Orly Shani.
Okay, hold on, wait.
Oh no.
Orly, itsy bitsy teeny weeny polka dot. This has been around for a polka dots.
Yeah,
has been around,
Sure
right?
has, sir. And then it went super not cool for a super long time.
Yeah, true.
And it's back, yeah. And you know, sometimes we talk about this on the show a little bit. Sometimes it just takes a big designer to commit to something, bringing it back, and everyone just gets excited. Dolce & Gabbana committed big time, head to toe.
Oh, wow.
It is
Wow.
so cool.
That's
It is.
beautiful.
It's real, and they did it across the board. They did it in a large quantity of their pieces, that particular collection, and so it kind of just brought it back to look fresh again for
Sure.
something that we had sort of written off as being a little outdated.
Okay,
Bet
so
you
what do
Dalmatians become really popular now too.
they're always in style.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the latest Snapchat filter?
Is it polka dots?
Oh no,
Yeah, really?
How adorable. All right, what do we need to do to get started?
Okay, so what you need first is your dress. There are a couple things to consider when you're thinking, or you can do this on anything, but your garment, right? There's a few things to consider. We talk about how I like to test it out on something.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did not listen to my own advice.
Uh-oh.
Went ahead and just started on one of my heroes, and I paid the price. Okay.
Oh no.
So a couple of things to think about when you're doing it. If you are picking a dress that has double layers like this, know that the paint is going to seep through to the bottom layer. Now, if you want that intentionally,
You did it.
I didn't want it intentionally, but I probably could have pretended so. So it seeped through, and I laid my fabric flat on the floor, and when I held it up, it no longer matched up right, because the way
Well, it kind of
fabric
makes
lays.
it look cool, though. I got to be honest with you. I kind of like that.
I totally did it on purpose, Debbie Metnopolis. I'm glad you say so.
cool.
Another thing to consider is not to let your children around it with their tiny cars, thinking it's a track, because
Right.
that's what Connor did, and I have all sorts of these things happening. So get it up high. So what I learned is you're gonna wanna use an ironing board, which is out of their way. You're gonna wanna cover that ironing board with plastic bags.
So it doesn't go through the...
So it doesn't
yeah.
seep through. And if your garment is double layered, like this cute little dress here, you're gonna wanna separate the outer layer and only put that layer on top.
But truthfully, can I say something? I like that it's not perfect. I like that it has texture and that you can
Yes.
see through. It makes it look cooler and somehow like more vintagey, in my opinion. I think it's a hipper look.
And you know what? That is kind of the way that this is being shown. The little fading here and the sort of circles in there, how there's spots that are missing, that's kind of the way that this is being shown now
Yeah.
because it looks more custom and handmade and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that texture. So you're 100% right. That is actually a fun element of how you don't need to be perfect. So when you're buying your sponges, you guys can see there's all, if you lay these all next to each other, there's all these different sizes of sponges. This is gonna allow you to vary your shape if you want, like I did on this white one. I used tiny ones on the collar, then I got a little bit larger as we come down to the bust, and then I got even larger as we go down into the skirt. The one I'm wearing now is all one size, and that's what I'm gonna show you how to do. So take your sponge, they've got these at craft stores, and you're gonna just dab into your paint. Now, at the beginning, you're gonna take it, just pick a spot, start
Wait, let
anywhere,
me
it
see
doesn't
that. Let
matter.
me see the end. How much paint you got on there? Can you
not that
show
much.
show camera how much.
And see, it also doesn't have to be perfect all the way around
No,
either.
exactly.
Okay.
Although there is a big hole there. Let me
Okay.
add a little bit
No.
more. Okay.
All right, so maybe it doesn't have to be perfect.
It
Sorry
doesn't have
about
to be
that.
perfect, but it should be better than what I just
Okay.
did. Okay, so now you just go down and plop it. Okay,
Oh,
so there's our
okay.
first one. I would, I'm actually gonna put a little bit more paint in here. I would,
And you always just use the top.
yeah, well, you can, if you're doing a whole thing, I'd get a big bowl. But for right now, we can do, and you know what, let's mix colors. So what I'm gonna do,
Really?
yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up here like this, and you come right here in between the two with
So are you trying to look for a consistent
That's
pattern?
so fun.
That's a good color. That's a
Orly, are you
Yeah.
trying to go like I
fun.
want to make rows of these, or I don't want it to be uniform in nature?
What you want is to go like this. This is the pattern that you want, that
Okay,
kind
so
of
you-
in between these two. What you don't want is one right here.
So
you don't want
I do the
squares.
next one right
So now you
there.
go right in between those two. Right. And so what I'll do is for her next one, I go in between hers.
So say
so pretty.
say Rachel had a yellow polka dotted bikini in her talent show, in her pageant.
Obviously.
You may have gone further with that.
Yes.
She could have made it.
I could have made it
maybe
myself.
that's what held you back even further.
If I
If
had
that had
just had
only-
this paint, so there's a lesson there.
There is a
Or if it had only been your talent, then look.
I could make my
Where
own
would you be
stuff, too.
today? Where would you be today? How long does something like this take?
So, okay, that's actually a very good question because again, lesson that I learned the first time around. What you want to do is do everything that's available to you right now. Do this whole surface. Let this whole thing dry before you rotate it down and do the next section. Because what I was doing is I was impatient. I did it and I twisted it down like this.
Oh, no.
Okay,
And the
moved on to the next.
Yeah.
And the paint will smush. It gets hit by something. All this fabric down here, which now has paint, gets touched with things you don't want it to get touched with. So you don't really want to do that. So basically, this is the general process that you're going to do.
And you just did 2 with 1. You didn't reload every time.
Okay, so one thing to consider with sponges is as you go, it's just the natural sort of way that a sponge is. It's going to soak up all that paint into the
Right.
base of the sponge. So when the surface is going to have less paint, but that doesn't mean there's not enough paint in the sponge.
Inside.
So like here, look at if I tap lightly, there's not enough.
Yeah.
But if I take it and I push, kind of forcing the paint to go down,
at
we're going to
that.
get more paint
More
out.
paint out.
So
It's
just
really cool.
yeah,
Little
and those
bit.
little shapes.
Exactly, like
That's
her
where you
dress.
get
That's
the
what I like.
brevity of the-
So the Dolce
come here.
Gabbana one costs at least $5,000. How much does something like this cost?
Well, this costs $4 for your paint, right?
Okay.
And maybe $3 for your
Too much,
sponges.
I'm out. Do
you
So
think I want
it's
more?
not that it's
go on the
also not
outside, too?
necessarily keep going across exactly.
It's so relaxing.
It is kind of therapeutic, isn't it?
It
So
is.
one other quick version I want to show you is if you want to do
Okay.
something like this, these little, see that little pocket there?
Did you make those for Mark? That's so nice. of you.
Obviously, this is his size. So what you would do is just take a pencil eraser because it's really impossible to find a sponge really this small at all. So just take a pencil eraser and you're just gonna use that as your sponge.
That's really cool, Orly.
And you do the same thing where you go in between, right? So for each one you do, then the next one goes in between, and the next one goes in between, and that's how you,
could
create
do
that
little
pattern.
rhinestones inside.
Oh,
of
look, see, you're
those.
already customizing your shorts, Mark. That's what I love about you.